Hello and welcome to my quick presentation on seismic waves and tsunamis. I'm going to be quickly going through how they're formed, how they travel, and how that can lead to danger. So the two types of seismic waves in earthquakes, the two main types are primary waves and secondary waves. Primary waves are longitudinal, so they push and pull the ground in the direction of travel, whereas secondary waves are transverse, so they can move the ground horizontally. And this is important later on as we go through the dangers, as the way they move the ground can affect how much damage they can do. P waves are faster than S waves. P waves travel around 5 to 8 kilometers a second, whereas secondary waves only travel around 1 to 5, although they can get to roughly the same speed as primary waves. And then P waves can travel through any form of matter, whereas S waves can only travel through solids. This was proved because they reflect off the outer core. There are no secondary waves in the outer core, and there's no way that the matter can form transverse waves. So, do seismic waves cause tsunamis? They are not the direct cause. The direct cause is from the land shifting underneath the ocean, but they can help to magnify it. P waves don't do much damage because they move the ground up and down. So if you're if you're in an area near the epicenter, you will only feel like slight raises from P waves. They won't do much damage. But the S waves are what the danger comes from, as they shake the ground horizontally and also have some vertical aspects. And they also have a greater amplitude than P waves. So that's where you feel the shake. That's where buildings can collapse and you can get some cracks in the earth. The tsunamis are only generated from certain earthquakes. You will never get a tsunami from an earthquake where the epicenter is on under land. Sorry, it must be under a shallow area of the ocean and have a magnitude greater than 7.5 to produce enough force to raise the wave enough. So tsunamis, like all water waves, they're transverse. They travel, sorry, perpendicular to the motion. They can get to up to 30 meters high when they approach land, but in deep ocean, they're small. Their wavelength is hundreds of miles long, and they can travel up to 500 miles an hour, which is almost, or it could even be quicker than some jets. When they approach land, it's 20 to 30 miles an hour. So there's a common myth that you can outrun a tsunami, and unless you are able to keep up with an Olympic sprinter over many miles, you should never try to outrun a tsunami. Your best bet is to get as high as possible and hope that the structure you've climbed is stable enough that it will not get taken down by the force of the water. And they most often occur in the Pacific Ocean. So countries like Indonesia, the Philippines, and Japan, they get struck by quite a few tsunamis. And there are some earthquakes which I said earlier then have a too small a magnitude to create a tsunami, but they're still tidal waves, which, although they won't cause the damage of a tsunami, they will still be noticeable and they can still be quite dangerous to people if they're on a beach and one approaches. They'll just need to be careful, and they can take up to 5 years to recover from. And that there's a big one in 2004 which took 5 years to recover from, and that was deemed almost a miracle by recovery services. So it could be anticipated that it could take almost up to 10 years or even 20-year plans have been put by governments to survive tsunamis. So that was my presentation. Thank you for watching, and I'm going to wave you goodbye.